If you like Paranormal Activity, you gotta check out Grave Encounters. It blows the entire Paranormal franchise out of the water. You gotta trust me on this. Ghost movies are so overplayed in this day and age that it's really fucking hard to do something that feels original, and by God, Grave Encounters pulls it off. If you're at all familiar with the idea of ghost hunters or any of those reality TV shows about looking for ghosts in haunted places, then you know the basic premise of Grave Encounters. Obviously though, if they didn't find anything, we wouldn't have a very good movie. But what they find is far beyond what you will expect. As I said, this movie shakes up the entire ghost genre, and that's really hard to do nowadays. Not only that, but it manages to use found footage appropriately to accent the horror while avoiding that shaky cam sickness that I'm sure we're all a little too familiar with. It's an absolute must-see movie if you're a horror fan. The Devil's Rejects is a film that will make you feel upset. It doesn't go for cheap scares or overly violent scenes, it just plays with that ingrained sense that good people will be rewarded and bad people will be punished, that almost all their films obey. As we watch this group of psychopaths terrorize the countryside on a road trip straight from hell, our moral values are just straight up violated. These characters take great satisfaction in torturing everyone they meet, and there's no real justice. If at least one moment in this movie doesn't make you feel outraged, then you're a sick son of a bitch. I truly believe that The Devil's Reject gives us a different style of horror that is in fact far more real and terrifying than any ghost movie ever could manage. It's worth mentioning that this is a sequel to A House of a Thousand Corpses, but this is definitely the superior film and can be viewed without seeing the original. The primary difference between the two is the amount of explicit violence in Devil's Rejects versus House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't enjoy intense violence as I find it eats up screen time and serves as shock horror that really kind of falls flat with me. This movie does a good job of limiting its violence to quick bursts of intensity and really spends its time focusing on that psychological horror. If you're willing to feel uneasy and a little bit twisted, get into The Devil's Rejects. It's a damn good movie. The Ghost in the Darkness is a quasi-true story of a pair of man-eating lions that terrorized an under-construction railway. Well, estimates vary. They killed at least 35 people and may have killed over 100, but no one's really that sure. Either way, they were some evil beasts. Here we follow the engineer tasked with finishing the railway, no matter the cost. These lions become so fierce that the locals personify them as living demons given flesh. The Ghost and the Darkness. If that doesn't sound terrifying, I don't know what is. People talk about Jaws as the monumental creature of death, but honestly I find these two far scarier. Their attacks are quick, brutal, and unrelenting. While this film does have action elements to it for sure, it mostly keeps to that horror style, and it's meant to help us understand the brutality of these beasts. I think knowing that there are things in the world that can and will murder humans in an instant is a horrifying idea, and this captures that reality brilliantly. It's a lighter horror film than most of the other movies on this list. That doesn't take away from the quality. Oh man, this is a film that'll stick with you for a bit. If you don't like mouth violence, for lack of a better term, just don't watch this. You will regret it. While the acting can be a bit cheesy and it draws itself out for the first half, once you get into the minds of these characters, you really start to feel their discomfort. It's not the traditional horror film full of jump scares and monsters. It instead focuses in on the human aspect of horror. I really can't say too much about what happens without ruining everything, but it will make you feel uncomfortable. And that to me makes Bug a worthwhile watch, at least for horror fans. Idle Hands is one of those movies that never really gets old. Of course, I'm sure you can tell already that it's as much a comedy as it is a horror, but it does have both elements in it, and it does both of those quite well. Basically, the plot is that this massive stoner deadbeat wakes up one day with the devil in his hand. Just one hand. It's not a full-blown possession or anything, but the hand manages to do a lot of damage. After he kills and resurrects his friends, we get to watch this stoner and his zombies ineptly try to handle fighting the devil. It's the execution of this wacky plot that makes it worthwhile. With a less talented director or actors, Idle Hands would have definitely fallen flat and quickly faded from memory, but it truly stands up as an enjoyable movie. If you want some horror, but you also want some laughs, you gotta try out Idle Hands. It's one of my favorite films in the mixed genre, and I bet you'll like it too. Sometimes, you don't really want an actual scary horror film. Sometimes you're looking for a horror film that is as much cheese as it is horror. If that's the case, look no further. Now, Urban Legend is not at all a well-made film, but I find a certain charm in these near B-grade horror films. It's a solid choice for a crowd, as there's plenty of stupid predictable moments for you and the crew to riff on. It is somewhere in the camp of I Know What You Did Last Summer in terms of quality, but uses urban legends as its gimmick, which adds an extra layer of fun. It's a nice pick if you want a light horror that you can goof around with, and that's really all you're gonna get from Urban Legend. This movie is freaking strange. It centers around an alien invasion that creates humanoid monster creatures that are in love with our main female lead. It's even weirder than it sounds, trust me. While you might feel that body snatcher, faculty vibe, it quickly diverges from that straight-faced nature and becomes something kind of unique. The visuals in this are downright disgusting, and that's kind of part of the fun of Slither. Nathan Fillion carries a lot of the weight here as he uses his naturally charming aura to bring that humor to the next level. It's really strange to have a film that's so disgusting, but also funny, and the humor is within that sickening nature. It's really hard to explain properly, and I feel it's something you kind of need to see to understand. Now, if you have a weak stomach, this isn't going to be a movie you will enjoy. But if you're looking for a film that's both horrifying and funny in equal measure, this is an excellent choice. Now this is a possession movie I can get behind. Basically, the plot of this one is a faithless exorcist begins filming a documentary to debunk the science of exorcism, and takes a small film crew into a backwater town for an exorcism that he's been hired for. Obviously, if things went well, we wouldn't have much of a movie. So shit pretty immediately hits the fan and things start to fall apart. As this happens, we have a group of rational people trying to explain the hell in front of them. Blessed Exorcism will play with your heartstrings and your mind every step of the way. Every single character is on point, and their performances combined with the camera work makes it feel all too real and too believable. As you go through this movie, you will find yourself really debating what's supernatural and what's just unusual, just like the characters are. It's a rare case in a horror film to see a cast do the very best they can the whole way through, and I really think this group matches up to the stature of Ash himself. Easily my favorite movie about possession and a strong contender for my favorite found footage film. If you like horror, you gotta check this one out.
Well, that was the first batch of horror movies for this Halloween. Out of the lot, I just want to talk about Grave Encounters. Like Last Exorcism, I could talk about all these, but goddamn Grave Encounters. He's not wrong in that it really adds a lot to the ghost story while keeping to maybe visualizations that you know of, the long-faced ghost thing chasing you. I know that's a little tired, but it really is a wonderful descent into madness. It's a wonderful maze. Mazes are inherently terrifying, but we only see them mentioned by people who know how to use environment, and that's all I got to say about this list.
Yeah, for me, I just would like to point out that while there's two horror comedies on here, we got both Slither and Idle Hands. You're going to have totally different experiences with either of them. One of them is a lot more kind of slapstick stoner humor, if you would. Not that there aren't horror elements, it's still a horror movie, is part of the name. But then Slither, a lot more just colorful violence. Really excessive colorful violence. It's a bit dated because the CGI is, it's almost 10 years old now. Actually, I think it's over 10 years now. So
also, thumbs up if you saw that it was the security cop from Mallrats as the antagonist in Slither. Oh.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to call out. But it is.
Just some fun trivia for you guys, and enjoy your Halloween, the millions of you at home, and we're going to be uploading some more of these. We're going to do 31 movies He's going to do 31 movies this Halloween. I'm on other things right now. But hey, let us know what you're watching. Do you have a question for them?
Just out of the list, what was your favorite horror film on here, and why do you like it the most?
And if you like what we do, like, comment, subscribe, support us on Patreon if you want to see us tackle other sorts of videos, and until the next time, see ya.
See ya.